going on, guys? It is MurderInc here, back with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and today we're going to be doing Trash or Pass on Ramantu, the latest installment as the final reward for the missions that was added after Arbiter. So today we're going to be seeing if he's good, just how good he is, where you can use him, how you can counter him if you're playing against him, and I'll let you guys decide in the comments if you think he's a really good champion or if he's not that good of a champion, thus the trash or pass. So with that being said, let's get right into it. So firstly, huge shout out to Dark Prism for letting me use his account. Now let's go ahead, head on over to Ramantu Drakesblood. This is the champion we're talking about. Definitely looks sweet, we already know that. Really unique kit here. One of the few A1s in the game where you're going to see 100% chance of doing any type of action on an A1 ability once the champion's fully booked. And speaking about books, we have 4, 8, 9, 10, 11 books total, so not a huge investment for books as far as all of the other legendaries go, but still 11 books can be a lot to some players. Now this champion is going to be rather easy in my opinion to kind of grade, see how good he is, because of how you can get this champion. You can't pull him from a shard. He's a final reward from the mission system that we can see here, that we talked about in the game here, and to complete the missions between Arbiter and Ramantu, you have to achieve a certain amount of goals, making it pretty clear to anyone who does get this champion that they are going to be late game minimum, end game most likely. So with that being said, going over his A2 really quickly: defense down, weaken, decrease speed, block buff, true fear if you apply all 4 debuffs to one target, very hard hitting ability, hits 4 times here, some possible synergy for the clan boss. But once again, if you are getting this champion, it's more likely that you are already 1 or 2 King Ultra Nightmare, so this doesn't seem like the most realistic use for this champion. Moving on to the A3, which is kind of the highlight skill here. An AoE attacking all enemies, 80% chance up to 100, landing block active skills, a debuff we're all familiar with for enemies without passives, and a new debuff that's being introduced to the game called block passive skills if the enemy does in fact have a passive skill. So this is really cool to see. This does raise the question, are more champions going to be added to the game with block passive skills on their kit already in an AoE form? That was the first thing that popped into my head when I did see this champion on a really low cooldown, being 3 turns, so there's a lot of good things here. Moving on to the passive, whenever an enemy CCs this with a hard CC, being stun, sleep, freeze, fear, true fear, or provoke, this champion fills its turn meter by 30%, places increased speed into shield buff for 30% of this champion's max HP. So the first thing I do notice here is there is no cooldown on this passive. So what I do want to test out is this champion going to get a stacking shield for every single stun? Is it going to apply once? That's really some information that I would like to get out of this brief testing session for sure. One thing to note, this champion's base HP isn't very high, so it's going to be rather hard. Last thing we're going to talk about is going to be the aura increases accuracy in all battles by 80. So with that being said, just looking at the kit, this guy is clearly screaming arena. I can't think of any practical use outside of arena based on how far progressed you're going to be in this game if you do get this champion. He's a cool champion, absolutely, and it's possible he can help you out in some of the later Doom Tower stages on the hard difficulty. But once again, more likely than not, everyone who gets this champion is going to already have a pretty easy time clearing all of that content anyways. Same thing for faction wars, you're probably already farming stage 21 or stage 20 based on your preference if you are getting this guy. So first we're going to talk about how I geared this champion. The best way I found, as tanky as you can possibly get him, high speed, high accuracy, 0 crit rate. Now this champion does hit hard, but based on where he shines, you would be a fool to give him any type of damage gear because of the Mastery Resurgent. Let's go over Resurgent really quickly if you guys are not familiar with it. What Resurgent does is it removes a random debuff from this champion when they lose 25% of their max HP or more from a single enemy skill. So if this procs, you're pretty much making this champion useless because of how strong that A3 is with block active skill and block passive skill. If you are going to be using this guy in offense, this is already one of the most common masteries that any arena defense already has on them, so it's going to be proccing often and you're going to lose a ton of value, which is why, as you'll see from the stats I did give this guy, he has 15%, the lowest possible crit rate you can possibly have on Ramantu. So with that being said, it's clear to see that this is bringing some type of speed meta back into the game despite reaction gear. As of right now, until someone theory crafts something, you're going to pretty much be going against the reaction meta here. As more and more players get reaction gear, yes, this guy's going to remove the buffs from players, place these extremely strong debuffs here. However, your damage dealing champion, whoever you choose and whoever that may be, is going to really struggle against teams because they're going to be wearing reaction. They're going to get a turn unless you can figure out how to CC them with another champion, because this champion does not offer any type of CC. You could go with the stun set, however getting high accuracy, high speed in a stun set is not something that's very easy even for endgame players who have been farming for quite some time. So since I briefly showed you the masteries, let's show you the full picture here. Wanted to stack accuracy as much as possible, increase turn meter, making sure it gets as many turns as possible. I didn't want to decrease the enemy's turn meter because, like I said, reaction gear is a thing, and you don't want a champion not getting a turn that's very tanky. With that reaction proc, it's going to make the fights way too long. The obvious Master Hexer to extend the duration of the strong debuffs he has, and finally the double counterattack mastery because of how strong his A1 skill is. Looking at this skill, increasing the cooldown of a random skill by 1 turn. If the champion already went and it picks the skill that's already fully on cooldown, it does have a 50% chance to stun him, so something like revenge accessories also can be a very strong choice for Ramantu if you have them. So with all of that being said, let's head straight into the arena. Let's see what this guy has to offer, and the goal here is to go first. The good news about the reaction meta is the speed meta is kind of out with that. So if you are confident you are faster, you can always swap to Ramantu lead, giving you an additional 80 accuracy, which is gigantic for sure. However, since this team has 2 speed champions and a support champion that's notorious for being quick, we're going to stick with our speed leader. Put this on full auto and we will go in 1x speed just to check things out here. See if he goes first, then Arbiter. Now Ramantu shines. Removing the debuff, it didn't place any debuffs onto Folly there. I think Folly got crit. I could be wrong there. It happened so quick and I wasn't really looking at him to know. However, if that did happen, that is the main reason why you would never want to run crit rate on Ramantu. And we're going to go ahead and face another team here. This is probably where this champion is going to shine most against tank teams. Ursuga has an extremely strong passive. Torment, of course, is going to revive. Even Cantrifin has a very strong passive, so let's go ahead, take this first spin and see what happens here. 1x speed once again. Now for Ramantu's turn, we strip the debuffs, block passive. Looks like we didn't get a block passive on Torment here. However, the team a lot less tanky now. So yeah, he's going to revive. Put this back on 1x speed here. Once again, I'm not really sure if he crit there. I should definitely pay closer attention. 4 champions are rather difficult to watch while this is all happening, but it's very possible Resurgent once again did proc, making it so we saw no debuffs on Torment. Another very strong champion that Ramantu is going to be fantastic against is going to be Duchess. Duchess has an amazing passive reducing damage taken from all allies, so he's going to negate that pretty easily. As we can see here, let's go ahead and remove buffs here. We did. We passed the accuracy check. Maybe we'll get a... Okay, we slept. So that didn't work out as I had planned. We still won, which is pretty easy, and it's pretty clear to see how strong this champion can be. This just comes to the question of what are people going to do to counter this? Now, the answer to counter this is something that quite a few players have already been doing. Higher up in Platinum tier, I think it's going to be more common now that Dreadhorn Bommel came out as a boss. Gear sets like Deflection Gear are going to skyrocket in value, even more so than they already are with the champion like this, because the main purpose of this guy is to place block active skills and block passive skills. That's going to be the key to his kit. However, wearing things like cleansing accessories, wearing something like a deflection set, adds another safety layer, adds another RNG layer to it, making this not as guaranteed as people may think if they choose to use this champion, because remember, this is going to take a support role, or my clanmate Ron, I think he said it pretty well, a middleman role here, because he does have quite a bit to offer with his kit, but the main emphasis is going to be the A3 here. So you have to make him high accuracy, fast champion, which means you need a strong turn meter booster, a strong speed aura. Those are very hard things to find together. You can use someone like an Arbiter, but then you have to speed tune this champion to your fastest champion, which would be Arbiter, leaving you vulnerable, forcing you to place him in an immunity gear, which, as we can see on this account, we're using Arbiter and Sifi here, so it covers the need to have to use some type of immunity gear. Alright guys, so now we're going to test out his passive so I can talk about just a few things if we get lucky enough. Let's take this off auto. 4 Torment, 2 in fact freeze a Ramantu. Let's see if we can get it to happen. Okay, so a few things we just saw there. His passive strong because he got frozen, he got increased speed, he got an extra layer of defense being that shield, and people may not see the value right away. However, the fact that he's burning through that CC so quickly with that turn meter increase is incredibly strong. Now we do have a Trunda here. Duchess's passive is going to be active, so thankfully we killed it anyways, and now we can just put this on auto, but that's going to be very strong. I know a lot of comparisons have been made between this champion and Trunda. I think if they're both in immunity gear, this champion definitely has some very strong synergy with the Trunda. It's only a matter of time before someone does the work and figures out the math between the difference of having block active passive on Duchess or a defense down. I'm pretty sure defense down is still going to be more beneficial because Madame not only has defense down but also attack down, which is very helpful against teams with Cantrifin, which is rather common in the Platinum Arena, and he can be very deadly with his counter-attacking ability. However, strictly looking at output for a damage-dealing champion like we're using Trunda here, the difference between having a defense down with most people stacking health, not caring too much about defense, and blocking an active passive, I think they are going to be fairly close once we do in fact see the numbers. Alright guys, so that's going to be my breakdown on Ramantu Drakesblood. My personal thoughts about him, let me know, trash or pass in your opinion. Do you think he's worthy of being the last reward? From the missions, I think he's going to be a fantastic arena champion. I really don't see him shining anywhere outside of arena. He's a cool looking champion nonetheless, definitely worthy of that last spot as a void legendary. However, I'm going to leave the opinion up to you guys in the comments. Let me know what you think of this champion. Are you excited to get him? Do you not care about arena that much? It may be possible once we get more PvP in this game, like Plarium did state in the interview I did with them, in the upcoming patches next year when they're going to focus and orient the game more towards PvP, he's going to shine incredibly well there. It's very possible, but that's going to be my opinion for now. Let me know what you guys think. The only thing I couldn't find is a champion like Mortu Macabre. His passive isn't technically a passive until it procs, so I'm not sure if that's something that gets locked out by Ramantu. I would have to test that for myself, and like I said, I could not find a single Mortu Macabre here, so hopefully Plarium at some point adds the ability to dual clanmates, so it's much easier to make tests like this, because that does seem to be a pretty vital piece of information. Alright guys, that's going to conclude my video on Ramantu. Give me your feedback, give me your thoughts, like this video if you enjoy the content, don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and I will see you all in the next upload.